इन करेंगे what procedures, techniques and case studies are there, जो कि हम आपसे share कर सकें. So with this, I hand it over to Ansar Saab to proceed, please. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am audible to you. Thank you very much.
थोड़ा सा जोर से बोलना होगा. I'll request के.
ठीक है सर. बिस्मिल्लाह ar-Rahman.
बात बहुत धीमी आ रही.
अल्लाहु समद लम यलिद व लम यूलद व लम यकुल लहु कुफुवन अहद. Before I start this formal presentation today, I'm really grateful to the OICCI for giving me this platform to share. To me, I think this is one of a topic close to my heart. And I will be sharing a portion of the case study, which I took part actively in this operation for about 9 months when I was a part of a Swiss embassy as their country security manager. So exactly I know that from point A to Z, so what all measures one requires to take, and there are multiple steps at an organization level. With this, I move forward. When we were discussing this topic, so there was one confusion. There was basically not a confusion. There were two schools of thoughts that whether this topic is important to be included in this forum or not. So there was a lot of discussion went on that the aim was that the audience, they should not lose their interest if it is not of the interest to the audience. So based on that discussion, I thought that my first the slide should be of the context, that why we selected or why I selected this topic for the today's audience. The first is the threat of kidnap for ransom or extortion. So we have to keep in mind that, or we have to ask this question to ourselves, that is it a topic for today's or concern or not? I would just add a single line to forcefully put my point of view before you, that there is something threat. If threat is there and you are taking a good mitigation measures and you are controlling that threat, it doesn't mean that the threat is off. Threat remains there. If threat remains there, and the moment your mitigation measures they are off, or there is some slackness, this means that threat is going to hit you. I think in that context, there is a threat of kidnap for ransom and extortion. Yes, there are. It has a different meanings for different organizations. For local organization, for multinational, for foreign national, for foreign missions, there is a different connotation, but the threat is there. Then recently, if you look at the US, UK, Canada Travel Advisory, so they have mentioned this kidnapping threat as one of their major areas of concern. So this means that at a diplomatic core level, so they have considered and they are taking this threat very seriously. So if that is the point of view of those people, I think we should also not have a lose of sight at our level. Especially the US Department of State, so it has included a kidnapping K indicator. And what is kidnapping K? It is the one that where the criminals or the terrorists, so they intend to kill or take hostage of some important personality, whereby force especially the public sector organization or the government to do something which they want to do. And this is, I'm going to touch upon briefly when I move to the case study, the second part of my presentation. That was a classical case of this K indicator. Then we have seen an upward trends in the CPLC reports of 2021, 2022, and 2023. So I'll be showing you the graphs where we are clear at a CPLC level. The report shows that from under year 2014 was the highest level. Then we have seen these trends started declining. But again, from 2021, this trend is again going up. So that I'll be showing with you. Then a couple of slides of the OICCI survey, security survey of 2023, where the member companies at our level, they have shown concern as far as the security issues are concerned. And this threat for kidnapping and ransom and extortion is one of the major security issues. I think in that regard, when major part of the companies, so they think that the security issues are their major concern, I think then we cannot neglect this threat of kidnapping for ransom and extortion. Then for the last couple of months, specifically since January 23, so we have seen there is a definite trend of resurgence of the TTP because of number of reasons. One of the major reasons was that their peace agreement with the government, so they were failed, and they were no more in negotiation with the government of Pakistan. And thereafter, they changed their strategy. And you must have seen in the recent past, there are a number of TTP actions taking place. Initially, they were restricted to FATA, but now they have moved into the mainland, whereby they are targeting in Peshawar recently. And then the area, the southwestern part of KPK, the Hangu, Bannu, Karak, Kohat. So they are a hub of these activities. And we have recently seen one of the incident during the birthday celebration of the Prophet, peace be upon him, on 12th of Rabiul Awwal. A police station was attacked. Then another point of concern was that the TTP has already moved inside the Balochistan. Previously, they used to be a Pashtun organization, but now they have a very close collaboration with the Baloch, these insurgents organizations. And in that regard, they have added, I think, 3 or 4 wilayat in Balochistan. Wilayat mean that this is their sort of a headquarter or a chain of command, whereby they pass their orders as to execute the terror activities. And this, what we have seen recently, what happened in Mastoom, we all know about it. And last but not the least is proactive versus reactive. Should we be proactive? I think we should be proactive in managing this. When this thing is in our mind and we are proactive in approach, I think then whatever comes, so we will be ready for that, and we should not be reactive. So this was a bit of context that we thought to share it with you, so that you must know the importance of the today's topic. The agenda is that I'll start with a disclaimer. So disclaimer means I'm just a student. And here I'm really grateful that I'm seeing a very senior security professional. They are sitting in front of me, and a number of them have joined online. So it is just, I'll be just sharing my thought process with you. It is an open discussion. You may share your thought process, your experiences, so that at the end of the today's session, when we leave this hall, so we all are the equally and mutually beneficial. And we take home something which was not in our kitty when we entered in the room in the morning. So this is absolutely a very clear disclaimer from my side. Then I'll be touching upon the kidnapping, some of the basics, what all this kidnapping, then the framework. As far as this framework is concerned, I just highlight that this is one of the measures which we adopted. But this is not a uniform. Every organization may have a different framework. So basically, it gives us sort of an idea or an outline, or just to give us something which we have in front of us, whereby we can have our own framework. So it is not a mandatory that we all should adopt this framework. But broadly, we can the categorize into different stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. I'll be touching upon a bit detail in the later part of my presentation. Then supporting the hostage family, a very important aspect, very important, because the abductors, what my experience shows that they would trespass and bypass the organization and the law enforcement agencies, and they will reach directly to the next of kin, because they know that where to hit, because the next of kin, they feel the pinch much more than anybody else. So that's why they feel that they reach directly to the next of kin. And this is what I observed during my interaction with all these people during the 6 couple abduction case. Dealing with media, a very touchy point, because media is is hyperactive, and if you neglect media, so what is going to happen, that they're going to post their version of the story, and that may pose you a big problem. So media handling is a very technical issue, and it has to be dealt under a corporate policy, and plus there has to be a separate man, a specially person, a media representative of an organization. Some general mitigation tips as far as the kidnapping is concerned. And the last part, I'll touch upon the kidnapping case study, the salience of, there are some salience, although this 9th month of Swiss captivity, I think we can have a number of sessions in detail, but here I'll be just touching upon a very salience of the important points of that case study. So we have to understand the basics. So basically this kidnapping for ransom or extortion, so this is a crime of opportunity. So this triangle consists of three things, the elements: opportunity, desire, and ability. Now, if you remove one, I think then that is the best mitigation measure you have adopted. Minimum, you have to remove one. Now, in this case, desire and ability is not of your control. It is with the third party. It is external. Now, what is internal is the opportunity. So you have to remove opportunity by adopting different policies, procedures, then the organizational SOPs, drills, the situation advisory, situational awareness sessions. These are some of the measures by which what you can do that you can remove this opportunity. When there's no more opportunity, I think you have achieved most part of your mission. Then you're going to avoid these cases of kidnapping, either for ransom or for the extortion. Some of the basics. And these, it is very important to understand these basics, because when you are dealing with the case, so it helps you in understanding the issue. And one thing I tell you that before I move forward, that this case of kidnapping for ransom is a very technical issue. We as a security manager, so we will not be required to be dealing at the forefront. We will have our own small share as far as this whole issue is concerned. Mainly, depending upon the case, the organizations, they will hire an external consultant. There are people who are professional consultants around the world. So they will be hired. But if a consultant is sitting, let's suppose in the UK, if he comes here, so they would be needing your assistance. So same thing happened in our case as well. It is very important. The security manager role is equally important as equal or as important to the consultant role. So that's why we need to understand some of these basics. The length of kidnapping vary widely from weeks to months to years. So there's no fixed formula. There are cases whereby they went more than a year. And there are certain cases which were settled down within a week's time. But the statistic shows that 79% of the reported kidnapping cases around the world, they last not more than 7 days. So it is case of an express kidnapping or a virtual kidnapping. I have already touched upon security manager versus the consultant role. So most important is the time. Time is precious, because the moment you receive a news that some of your employee has been abducted for ransom or for extortion, I think then the time starts ticking down. And at that point of time, you need to have a very effective corporate policy to deal with such type of an issue. And it is there at the crisis management team level, whereby you have a CMT in all organizations, and that is convened immediately. And thereafter, then the whole proceeding starts. And they are the one, because why time is a precious or a big resource, because the CMT would be taking decisions what to do, who is going to media, who will deal with media, who is going to be a main negotiator with the kidnappers, and so on. So all these decisions have to be taken within a specific time limit. If you are late, then the case would go out of your hands. Some of the types of kidnapping for ransom. This is a traditional way to receive payment from family or organization. This is on the rise worldwide as far as the situation now is concerned. Tiger kidnappings. In this case, what happens is the abductee is coerced into performing a desired action for the kidnappers. Like you abduct a person and then you ask the abductee to do something. And this happened classical in the case of IRA when they were operating against the UK government. So whereby they force them to do something, maybe opening of a vault or opening of a facility, and they want to do something. But normally, it is not concerning us. Express kidnapping. This is more common in Latin America and Africa. And as far as in our case, it is in Karachi as well. Express kidnapping, you kidnap a person, and then you ask a very limited, not much of a ransom money, whereby either the individual himself or his or her next of kin, they should start thinking what to do. Should we report it to the law enforcement agency? Should we enter into a negotiation? Because the money is very small. And then immediately they would come up to the, after a little bit discussion, and they will agree to what the abductors say. And that's why it is said that 79% of the cases, so they've been decided within 1 week's time. Political and ideological kidnapping. This is a very dangerous trend. And exactly this happened in case of a Swiss. What happens in this case, in such type of kidnappings, that the abductors, so they would ask a demand, okay, mostly they would like that their high-fi kidnap or their associates who are with the government, so they want to get them free. Like in Swiss case, there was a demand. Initially, they gave a list of more than 200 TTP militants. They were with the government, so they should be set free. Then, in the next stage, they asked that, okay, we will set free these two Swiss abductees, but in return, they asked that government of USA should relieve Afia Siddiqui. So basically what happened that all these demands, they just want to open up at a very broad level, because they know that all their demands, they won't be met, but all they ask from the organization or from the government. But the more demand they have, at least when they come to a negotiating table, so at least they would get something out of those demands. If initially if they demand a couple of or one odd, so then definitely they won't get a substantial amount of their demands. A virtual kidnapping. Virtual kidnapping is nothing whereby a person who is out of his home for a very large period of time, he is not in contact with his family, especially like in our case, if we belong to another part of the country, we are here, we are away from our family, and the people who know exactly that how much we have a contact with our family. So they would just do that, they will abduct a person, and they exactly know that he has a very less contact with his family. The frequency of contact is very limited. So they would just ask a demand, and the family, so since they are not in frequent contact with the hostage, so if they immediately would come under this pressure, and even if they try, the person may not be approachable, and then they would give the abductors what all they want. So stage one, initial notification. Now you have received the news that abduction has taken place. So the first step is that a country lead is responsible for convening and coordination with the country crisis management team. So normally in the country crisis management plan, so basically this organization of CMT is there, and all those people who are responsible for the crisis management team. And in normal cases, what I've seen that the head of the organization, so he heads the crisis management team as well, because of the sensitivity of the issue. At security headquarter level, like in case of the multinational organizations, then if there are some regional security heads or security bosses, like at a level of senior vice president or vice president at headquarter level, in case of the multinational organization, so they should also be taken into the loop as far as this issue is concerned. This is the most important phase, the deployment of consultant. Now this decision has to be taken initially after the notification. So that's why I earlier said and that time is precious. So you have to decide that whether you're going for the deployment of consultant or not. If yes, who is going to make payment for the consultant, because they take very hefty fees. All crisis management proceedings to be recorded in a crisis log sheet, and it is given in the crisis management plan. This is very important because there are chances that as a worst case scenario, the hostage may not come alive after all this process. This is a worst case scenario, or there could be any other issue whereby you end up in a litigation mode. That litigation could be at a national level or could be at the international level. And for that, you need to have this all record available. This is an archive, an organizational archive, and this has to be maintained very delicately and with all minutest detail, with all the supporting documents. Last but not the least is proof of life is a top priority. Whenever you enter into a negotiations, you are interacting with the abductors. Proof of life is must. Proof of life is nothing. You make sure that your man is fine. Now, there are a number of ways whereby you can ensure a proof of life, either by speaking or having a video call or by means of a certain photographs. So there are a number of ways and means, or there could be another, at times the abductor, they would say that, okay, we are not going to talk to your person. But in that case, there are some specific information which HR has, a specific family or SPIs. So you can ask them that question, that if the person replies correctly, that could be that, let's say, what is his nickname, for example. If you know, if the person replies correctly, this means the person is with the abductor and he is safe. So there are a number of ways and means by where, but you must obtain a proof of life in all stages of the kidnappings. In a very classical case, I remember in 2012, where an Algerian doctor, basically he was a UK national, abducted by Taliban alongside with a Swiss couple. We had a very success story, but at the end of that, in that case, it was a very sad story or a worst case scenario, whereby the doctor, so his dead body was sent back in a guinea bag. So in that case, I think, so proof of life, you must ensure that you keep on asking the proof of life just to make sure that your person is absolutely safe. So some of the initial notification, there's it is just sort of a guideline. You may have your own, like roles and responsibilities. In case the most important are internal and external personnel. There are a number of people they would be involved. Internal mean within organization, external mean within even your organization who are not here in the country, maybe outside where the company headquarters is, or external could be the law enforcement agency from the government people. So they are involved. When a family liaison, yes, there has to be one person from the family, because the next of kin, you have to take a very important decision. That one of the major important decisions is that whether the ransom money has to be paid or not. Because normally what I have seen, as a matter of policy, all the organizations, multinational organizations, foreign missions, they have a very zero tolerance policy as far as the payment of ransom is concerned. They do not pay a single penny, and they are rightly do so, because if they would start paying ransom, then they are going to open a floodgate, whereby then the case would increase, because the abductors would know that they would get money. So all multinational organizations, they don't pay us any single money. So it has to be a decision by the family members. If they want to pay, yes, the organization would support by virtue of giving a support from the government side or through their consultant. But it has to be through some of the family liaison, and it has to be a single person. There shouldn't be more than one person, because then there is a clash of interest. Operation, logistics, planning, media communication, I've already touched upon. Record keeping, I've already covered. Then you have to establish facts that what, when, where, who, how, because these are the initial facts you have to establish immediately. And based on that, your further working starts. Then there are assumptions. Assumptions mean that what all has happened, why it has happened. Like in case Swiss couple, we made an assumption that why they were there in Lorelei. There were some assumption, and those assumptions proved right. I'll be touching later part. So those assumptions are very important, and these assumptions are known by the concerned, their line manager, their colleagues, or the members of the CMT. So this is important, because it gives you a course of action, a further what to do in future. Then you develop different scenarios. Scenario 1, scenario 2, like I said, a worst case scenario that you may not get your person back alive. So then what happens? Accordingly, when you develop scenarios, so you have a different course of action or to-do list for each scenario. What are the priorities? in dealing with this case. So priority is to me, I think the main priority is the safety of the person. Then rest all comes later. Response options, what are the objective stakeholders? Now, in this case, there could be a number of stakeholders, the organization, then the family, and then even the government, because it all depends upon the hostage, like in Swiss couple, because that was whereby the Swiss government came into play. And in that case, the government of Pakistan, the federal government, the ISI, then the military, and then the KP governments, Minister of Interior, Minister of Foreign Affairs, they all became a stakeholders in that. So it all depends upon the level of the hostage. And then the key message. The key message should be communicated to the stakeholders. Key message is that what all the organization intend doing it, whether they have decided to pay ransom or not, hiring of the consultant, and how they're going to move about it. Because the stakeholders, they are very touchy, and they are very anxious and impatient in knowing that what is the organization thinking as far as dealing with this case is concerned. Then this stage 2, upon receipt of a kidnapping for ransom and extortion demand. In this case, some of the measures you must be knowing and is that when you receive information, that may be through call. So caller information was male, female, young, old, caller accent, description of voice, local, international call, tone, voice, mental state. So this all will give you some sort of an indication that whether it, because that may be a hoax call. It is this is a possibility. This is a possibility that that may be a hoax call. And so that's why all these information, they need to be recorded, and whosoever receives the call. And as a good practice in the organization, when such type of information received, so the normal operator, he or she would not record this. And and it is mentioned in the crisis management plan, and that if such type of information or call is received, then the call is diverted to a specific person in the organization who is trained for that, and he is tasked to record all these information, because these are the initial I would say that the foundations whereby the crisis management team, they would act upon and start discussing the future courses of action. Hostage details, date and time of kidnap, location, method, casualties, and then the known medical history, because this is important, because then the abductor, they need to be informed that the hostage taker, the hostages, they have a special medical history. So accordingly, they should take care of them. But one thing I tell you very interesting here, that normally the worst case scenarios are very less. There are certain reasons for that. Normally, these abductors, so they take care of the abductee much more than, I would say, their own near and dear ones. The reason is only one, because that abductee or hostage is their source of income. So they take care of him or her in a very good manner, and they consider it, or they call it, a business. So they do not consider that we have kidnapped somebody for ransom or for an illegal money. When they demand, if the money is concerned, so they would say in a very clear term, sir, this and this was our guest, and we have taken care of him very elaborately, and this is our invoice against the services which we have rendered to the person. So normally they take care of that. And so that's why another phenomenon emerged, we call it a Stockholm syndrome. This is something very interesting phenomena, whereby when this whole saga is over, the abductees or the hostage, so he developed a great sense of love for the abductors. And this I personally felt when these two abductees, they were recovered from the compound of number 2 to Akimullah Masood Waliur Rahman. So these two abductees, when we brought him to Peshawar, so both boy and girl, so they were weeping like anything, as they have left their parents or the dear ones. So this is the Stockholm syndrome, because they develop love. And why do they develop love? Because they take care of him or her in a very near way. LE's involvement, it all depends on the organization, whether they want to do it by themselves, or they want to involve the law enforcement agencies, role of press, kidnapper's identity if known, if you know, but at the early stages, it is very difficult to understand the kidnapper's identity. And why it is important? Because then it gives you a good source of planning. Because if it is a normal criminal group, the action would be different. If they are known terrorist groups, the action would be different. So that's why it is very important. But at this stage, it is very difficult to know that what the kidnapper's identity was. Now, when the stage is set, initial stage is set, so you need to coordinate with the consultant. The consultant would arrive if you have decided. So then they have a meeting, and then they would ask certain questions and lengthy discussion that how they are going to go about it. And the organization policy about the ransom payment, which I've told you earlier, that organization, they do not pay. And the consultant, they must know, because then accordingly, they are going to move forward. If there is organizational policy for ransom payment, which is not normally, but let's suppose if it is there, so then their course of action is very different and very easy. But in this case, when the organization do not pay, so then the consultant must know from a very start point that the organization will not pay. Yes, if the family agree, so then is a different story. I've touched upon the last point earlier. A family liaison to identify at the earliest stage who in the family will be the ultimate decision maker. Negotiation is the most difficult phase. Yes, who will lead the negotiation and a family point of contact? In case of, normally it is a consultant, but definitely consultant takes the lead along with the security manager of the organization as per the company policy, and then equally supported by the nominated person from the family. Proof of life, I have already touched upon. This is very important. You must make sure that the proof of life is obtained in all phases of the abduction. Remain calm and composed as far as the organization or the family is concerned. Because if you become hyper, so nothing will be solved. So you have to remain calm and composed. And most important is do not commit anything final with the abductors, because I said that initially their demand would be a very long list, but you do not commit. Even if you have decided, let's suppose, even if you've decided to pay some ransom amount, but do not commit. The moment you commit, they will raise their bar. So this demand, what all you are going to give, so this demand should not be committed. May it be a payment of ransom, may it be a release of some of their comrades with the government. So whatsoever case is, so your intentions are never clear to the abductors. All negotiations are under the crisis management team parameters. All records should be recorded, all record, and log should be maintained. Media handling via media representative, always keep the affected families well informed. This is most important, because if you keep the families aloof, so then they are going to take some other action. And these abductors, they exactly know the details of the family. The moment you give a space, so they would just creep in. So one, they will creep in, this is one, and it will have negative consequences. Secondly, the media would come and they come into play, and then they would start publishing their version of the stories, and which may prove to be sort of an attack onto the company repute, or it may not prove good to be a company repute or the goodwill of the company. So always keep the families well informed. Now a word about, so far we have discussed that there is an abductee, there is abduction for ransom, but there is a possibility that there is no hostage. So it is just an extortion. And normally this trend, normally in our part of the world, it happens, in our part of country, it is normally in big cities, especially in Karachi, in Latin America and Africa. So this trend is very common. So what they do, that extortion demand is based on the threats, whether they are to people, asset or products. So there could be different threats. So what you're required to do, you have to make an assessment on the credibility of the threat and any indications of the capability that the extortion can carry out their threat. So mostly this extortion demand, mostly it is going to be via call. So that's why you have to make sure, because you would be clear right from the very beginning that there is no hostage. So in that regard, you are clear. Now you have to make sure that whether the extortion threats, whether how much serious they are, it all depends upon the person or his identity, whether he is individual or he is part of some criminal gang. So that is important. Ensure that the knowledge of the incident is contained to a small group of people on need-to-know basis. Because normally what happens that in an organization, if this thing spreads, so it will create panic in the organization. And then the people, they would start having their own views. They would start develop with the affected employee, and they would start dictating the organization, okay, well, you should do this, you should do this, why you are showing slackness. So this information must be restricted to a certain important people, and that to need-to-know basis. You can consider short-term preventive security measures. There could be number as per the company processes. The person may be asked to work from home, or the person may be sent on leave, or you can vary his routine of coming to office and going back. So there are a number of ways, and normally organizations, they are doing such type of things. Do not respond to the extortionist request for agreement until you have discussed this with the appropriate stakeholders. Now, in this case, I think the major stakeholder in such type of cases is the organization, and then the board of governors maybe. It all depends upon the setup or framework of the organization. Then comes the release. Now, all the phases have gone, and it has been decided that they're going to release the individual. May it be after, and definitely this release is not without any fulfilling any demand. That demand may be release of some of the captors initially with the government, and in that case it is where the government is involved, or by paying ransom. So they're not going to relieve the hostage just for nothing. Collection and safe storage of the ransom monies. Yes, that is most important. And that this, when it is decided, so this money has to be paid, this money is paid by the individual's family, and then this money is transferred to the hostage takers with the assistance of the consultant, because they are the one, and they have been doing this around the world. They know exactly how this money should be transferred to the accounts of the abductors. Last point, protection of the hostage and family from media and well-wishers. Yes, that media should not be allowed to creep in. Even we have decided. So there has to be what happened, that when the whole drama is over, may it be extortion or the ransom, then an official person of the organization, so they come in front, or they either issue a reactive statement to the media, or to something in written, or they may go for a press briefing, but it has to be centrally by the organization. So the family or the other people, they should not be interacting media at their own, even if the decision is that you will pay the ransom and the whole issue is over. Now, when the post-release, a debriefing has to be carried out, because there are certain things especially the people would be interested. And in that case, here, mostly the law enforcement agency, and they would be interested in knowing especially the identity of the hostage takers, and their ethnicity, in which group they belong to, in which area they kept the hostages. So that is very important. And then the mental state of the hostages, their well-being. So this all comes under the debrief, and especially they would be interested in knowing that what all has been committed by the hostages to the abductors. There might be some information, sensitive related information about the organization, so that might have been communicated to the abductors. So in debrief, that also comes into play. And this debriefing session is again carried out by a professional, not by the normal people. Press release covered. Medical checkup and psychological support counseling is must, because normally people, when they come, so they are in a mental shock. And I've seen people, even they could not get out of that mental trauma after months and months after they were freed from the captors. Although they were taken care well and proper, but even then they suffer this mental trauma. And this is the organization responsibility, that they take care of the hostages as far as their, especially the mental health is concerned. Stockholm syndrome, I've already covered. Be prepared for worst case scenario. It has already been covered. Then In case of the multinational organizations, this pertains to that, the stage 4, that if there is in any part of the world, there were hostages, they were freed, and now they want to travel and go back to their own countries. So there are certain actions which has to be taken. Preferably, it should be a chartered flight with no transit en route, because then the international media will come in and they would be interested in knowing what all has happened. And notification to the concerned foreign nation. The foreign nations of the nationality to which the hostages belong, because there are certain actions which have to be completed by the foreign nation. Like one of them is the visa arrangement. If a person remains with the custody of the hostage takers, so his or her visa may be not valid anymore, or they might have lost their passport and other travel documents. In that case, there has to be an exit permit issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Interior. So that has to be granted. And this is one, a single permit whereby the person is allowed to go out of the country. And it has to be with the assistance of the concerned foreign mission, the embassies or the high commissions. They carry out all the pre-arranged customs. And then the final debriefing is also carried out before the hostage is handed over to family. Some post-release consideration, arrangement for future medical support. Yes, if there, and I told you that this is very much required. Discussion regarding future career, because then if you are the employee of the company, so company would need to take care of you, and they must take care of. In that regard, there has to be some arrangement with the HR and other related people. And if there is a further therapy required. Supporting the family, all hostage family, I think I have covered all the details, except that never lie or bluff the family. So the family should be taken into loop all the time. They should not be in dark what all is happening, because then the kidnapper, they would start interacting with the abductors, and then the whole situation would change. Dealing with the media, I've already covered. Some of the general kidnapping mitigation tips. These are some, they're very general in terms. You can have a very long list that do not act overly defiant towards your captors, but be mindful to avoid giving them information that could be used against you. Then you keep your low profile. That is, I think, the best approach. Always inform someone where are you going, your whereabouts, because the people, they know about it. Where are you going? So before that, there has to be some advisory given to you that, okay, if you're going some particular area, so whether you're supposed to be going there or not. Always hire good security services if you are going into some trouble area, and use licensed taxis in case if you are moving inside the major cities or going abroad. These are some of the KRA statistics of 2022. And the most important, I will just briefly touch upon that. If you see that most victims are entry-level employees, followed by middle management and their dependent. Employees at multinational accounts for 5% of the KRE cases. And if you look at the map toward the left side, you can see a red dot on the Pakistan map. So this means that we are on the horizon, or on the list of those countries where this threat still persists. Here, the trend, if you see it in 2021, Pakistan was at the 7th, and now we have moved in 2022, we have moved to the 5th place. And Pakistan is the only country which moved from lower bottom to the upper side. If you see all other countries, either they have maintained their position or they come down in the ladder. But Pakistan is the only country which has moved up. And this should be a point of concern as far as the security managers and the business leaders are concerned. So 68% abductions happen to transit outdoors, 84% are abductions resolved in less than 8 days. I have already covered. 95% of the global victims were local nationals. So this should be a point of concern, that because 95% as per the statistics, so they are the local nationals, and only 5% are the expats. Now, if you see, this is a CPLC report. So until 24, there was a upward trend. Then we have seen a downward trend going down until 2021. So again, from 2021, 2022, we have seen an upward trend. And still, and these figures are up till 31st of August. So still 4 months have to be added upon. And I hope that, I think that if not more, that 2023 record would match the 2022. So this is a point of concern. Some of the OICCI, the security survey, if you see that most of the people, so they have said that the security situation has deteriorated as far as the situation, this security landscape is concerned. Similarly, current security environment versus the last year, again, we have seen a red line is dominating. Then 73% they consider that security is the top 3 concerns for our company. A brief about the case study about the just sum up within next 5 minutes. That is a Swiss couple, they were abducted from Loralai, Balochistan on 1st of July and recovered safely in March 12. So they remained 9 months of captivity with the TTP and their medium level leaders. This is a classical case of political and ideological kidnapping. I told you earlier that they demanded release of more than 200 TTP affiliates plus the release of the Afia Siddiqui. And this is a time when terrorism was at its peak. Now, the major reason of there was that the NOC issued to them was not of the same route. Issued to them was under some certain specific precautions and instructions, which they did not adhere. And all those responsible from the public sector, so they also contributed to that. They were supposed to enter into Balochistan from DG Khan early morning, and they were supposed to reach Quetta before last light. But they entered into Balochistan last light of 31st of August. Then the border police, they preferably they should have sent them back. So they did not send them back. Reportedly, they got some money out of them. They were stayed in Rakhni, and I think that was the time whereby they came into the eyes of the terrorist, because Kulu is the nearby Kulu is the headquarter of the BLA, and this is one of the reason. Secondly, from their movement from Rakhni until Quetta, so all those district police, so they were supposed to give them a close protection as per the NOC issued. But when they reached Loralai, so Loralai has the types of police. One was the normal police under DPO, district police. Other was the levies under the deputy commissioner or the commissioner. So area A and area B. So police left 2 kilometers before their jurisdiction ends. So they kept on traveling about 2 kilometers without any police support. And I think so that's why they were being chased initially from Rakhni. And here come they got the abductors, they got a window of opportunity and they were abducted. So this was the major reasons of their abduction. The CMT was activated immediately, and then there were subgroups were made to interact with the diplomatic or federal provincial government, Punjab, Balochistan, KPK, MOFA, MOI, ISI, media, politicians, and tribal notables, different groups. Then a special task force was created in Bern, Switzerland, because to deal with the family, because their families were there. I think in that regard, this was the major, a strong point. And task force was being headed by an officer, a serving officer of the ambassador level. So he was heading this task force at Bern. So their main job was to deal with the family and other related affairs. Here, the Swiss DA was the POC with the law enforcement agencies and intelligence organizations. So these are some of the clippings. So it's a Swiss couple still alive, says Loralai Commissioner. I'll just add 1 minute. This is a very interesting story because I was dealing with this. And so you have to be very clear about the area of where the hostage taking takes place. So in one of the picture which they showed us, there we saw that there is some sort of factory arrangement where there are large boulders or of stone boulders. They were seen visibly in the background. And Loralai is very famous for these minings. There are a number of tile cuttings factories over there. So there we assessed that they are still in Lorelei, and we informed them, the authorities, that they are still in Lorelei. They have not gone out of Lorelei. So that's why this news related to that. But they were late in time and space. Before that, they raided that factory, identified from the picture. But by that time, the couple, the abductees, they were left and they were taken to the via Khuzdar into the Fata area. When they landed, then the Taliban confirmed they were Swiss hostages, and there are a number of these clippings. Yes, so this is video of the kidnapped Swiss couple emerges. So this is the first video, and I think this was a major blow to the government, or both government, host government, Swiss government, then the family. And this was exactly the same place where later on it was under a large mosque inside the Vana Bazaar. You must have seen there were a number of hostages giving interviews, having a banner with the La ilaha illallah behind. This is the same area. And you can see that militants link release of Swiss couple with Dr. Afia. So these were the different the demands made by the abductors. Now, there would be a D-tracking incident. We received this letter, someone from Yusuf Zai Pathan, and he said that, okay, he is witness to that. They dropped this letter here at the Swiss consulate, Karachi, that I am the witness, your people, they were abducted by the ISI and the military, and there are reasons given in that. It was just an attempt to detrack us, basically. That was so that our whole energies, the embassy energies and the law enforcement energy should be diverted toward this side. So these types of tactics would be there. It all depends upon the number and time, the level of the hostages. So these three figures would show you that this is a college BRC where Lorelei police actually abandoned these. So these are the names, the first letter of their names, ONW. There they were abandoned. Then the figure 5 says Minara, site of abduction. So here they were abducted. And the figure 8 is Levy's post, about 2 kilometers ahead of Minara. So basically they were supposed to leave the district police, leave the abductors at the Levy's post, but they abandoned 2 kilometers before that. And that was the window of opportunity where they were abducted. Some interesting facts in the last slide. Key indicators around hostage in the hideout I have already covered, whereby the factory I have mentioned. Then the role of Alamzeb Masood. So this is something very important and interesting too. So when this whole happened, I was the PUC from the embassy side dealing with the number of the organizations. So then I start thinking that how to go about it. Because from the government side, there are procedures whereby you get the details about the abductors very late, or you may not get it. So then I devised a ways, and by thinking, and that happened to be the major source or the most successful factor in that regard. And for that, I was rewarded by the Swiss government later on. And that was, what was that I started thinking that this is a time when there were a number of IDPs coming, internally displaced people coming from Fata towards the Islamabad and different cities. My wife, she is an educationist, so I asked her, a principal in a known school in Islamabad. I said, okay, give me a list. If you give me a list of all those people, the tribal elders, if they are repatriated or displaced recently from the Fata to this, and 2 are good luck. So I met Mr. Alamzeb Masood. He was a local tribal leader, and he was the one who used to give us the exact location of the couple, starting from DA Khan until end. And there were a number of times all these information which we received through Alamzeb Masood, and then through our DA when we communicated with the Premier Intelligence Agency. And later on, these were confirmed, yes, and they would start asking that, who gave you this information? Because these are absolutely proved to be right. And one of the information was that the lady abductor hostage, so she was taken from, there was a special lady doctor which was hired from DA Khan to South Waziristan, and because of some health issue. And then we shared it with the agency. And then after a couple of days, 2-3 days, so they called our DA. They said, this is absolutely exactly news. And we came to know that, yes, now they are in this area. But who gave you this? But we did not disclose the name of Alamzeb Masood. And then may Allah Almighty bless his soul. I think he was made alive until this whole episode was over. So in first week of March, the Swiss couple, they were recovered safely. And the middle of March, this gentleman died because of the liver cancer. But the greatness of this gentleman was that he did not disclose until the last moment that he was suffering a liver cancer. Then when I came to know, I asked him, he said that I was doing for my country. And he has a lot of love for the armed forces, for the people of Pakistan. So I think this is something, Stockholm Syndrome, I have already covered. Gentlemen, thank you very much. There I end my part of presentation. Now the house is open. I think now it is your turn to share some of your valuable input, or if you want to ask something, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Commander retired Asim Noman Aziz, and I am from DHL Global Forwarding. It's not my question, and thank you very much, first of all, that you have informed us with a very good knowledge about the abduction and the ransom kidnapping. Just wanted to add something here, that nowadays there must be, yes, of course, as you have told, that there are a lot of trend of conventional ransom and kidnapping and abduction, but at the same time there's a very common phenomena nowadays also. There's a cyber crime also, which is that people are calling to the senior officials of the MNCs and asking about that they have kidnapped their children. And normally they inform that I'm from a law enforcing agency, and your son or your son, any dear ones, is done and involved in some kind of fishy activity, and you have to give us this much amount so that we should not go for any kind of FIR or something like that. So this is now which I have heard also, and I then practically experienced also the same thing, and we never done it because we understood that this is a crime. But this is also a very common practice nowadays, which is disturbing the people. So I think this is also, I wanted to apprise the house also. And then I have tried to take some action through this cybercrime cell of FIA, that is in Karachi. So they also informed us that if you have been victimized, and if you have uh, given them the money, then only the action can be initiated from our side. But as you have not been affected, and then you have not given them the money through bank transfer, so in that case your case cannot be registered. So I just wanted to inform the house also, people also, that this kind of things are happening also. We have to be careful about these things also. And at the same time, I should also inform the concerning people from this platform that we should do something about to address these issues also, because it's very common. Thank you very much.
Ji sir, thank you very much. I think you're very pertinently, I think this is one of the major issue. और इसको अगर हम देखें तो हमने जो presentation में extortion के अंदर हमने इसको cover किया where there is no hostage. So this is a classical case of an extortion where there is no hostage, and where people they try to persuade, and they try to terrorize you. But I think this is important, and it all depends upon the organizational policies, because each organization has their different SOPs and processes. If someone else in this forum, if they want to highlight something good practice as far as their organization is concerned, so most welcome.
Sir, just a very small question. First of all, I would really appreciate you on your presentation. It was really informative to all of us. Regarding this Stockholm syndrome, I just Googled it. About 8% of the people come under the influence of Stockholm syndrome. The very interesting aspect of your example of the Swiss couple, it would be interesting to know if the same couple suffered the Stockholm syndrome or not.
Hello.
Yes, the same couple, they suffered along a lot as far as Stockholm syndrome was concerned. I was one of the session of the debriefing session, because there are certain things and I did not touch upon, because there are certain things which were done by the Swiss government, and which I have a clue, but not I'm not I would say that party to that, because it is not possible that you get hold of your abductor successfully without doing anything, which I do not believe. And some of them I have seen, I am part of that, but some of them I am not part of that. But as far as this debriefing session is concerned, so in one of the debriefing session, I was part of that. And thereby, when they were narrating, so both of them, especially the lady, so she started, she burst into tears, the girl. And the reason was that as per them, during the last 3 months, so they said that we never see any security around us. There used to be only the family members of the Wali Rahman Masood in a large Haveli, and we used to be free. Even said we used to go for a walk with them. And we were, and one of the lady, she was very, I would say that she could interact from Wali Rahman side, interact in English. Then they used to have a discussions of different topics of the mutual interest. And they said that we used to live like a family. And when the day we were told that, okay, people came and they told that, okay, come here, and we are moving to that place, and there is an helicopter standing, we are moving. Interestingly, when they came, so there was no one in that Haveli. So basically, I think that was a pre-arrangement which was made purposefully. And when they took along, and yes, I think this was a reason. And right from the very beginning, Akhundzada group of TTP was the first who abducted them, and then they sold them to TTP. So this is a business. They call it a business. So that's why the moment they landed up with the TTP, and then, so I think they have a lot of regards for them. But I'm sorry to say, because saying this, that a lot of regard for TTP, so it should not convey a wrong message.
नहीं सर, पिछले दिनों मैं एक इंटरव्यू भी सुन रहा था सलमान तासीर के बेटे का, जो वाकया हुआ था, and he also was narrating the same thing, that he was in a compound with a family, interacting freely with their children, teaching them English and everything. So yes, you're right. And सलमान तासीर के बेटे का भी एक केस स्टडी है जो कि हमें स्टडी करना चाहिए।
जी, वो मैंने केस स्टडी की है, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट। वो मैंने उसको केस स्टडी किया हुआ, मैंने उसको भी। और दिस हैपेंड,
गिलानी साहब के बेटे का भी,
जी गिलानी मूसा भी था उनको। और ये सलमान, इसका नाम है शहबाज तासीर, ही रिमेन्ड विद देम जी। और इसमें सिर्फ कैचवर्ड एक होता है कि आपको ना, you should not retaliate the hostages. There might be retaliation outside from the government side, from anybody else. But if you start retaliating, then there are chances they may harm you. But if you are friendly with them, so they are more than friendly with you, because you are their commodity. They have to take
business
price.
Business.
So business. This is business. Yes.
Hello. Before taking next question, we request all participants to open your cameras for a photo, and then we can take a next question.
I just take this opportunity to what you say, that say in louder word that my mentor and my teacher, and I think I cannot express But Zubair is here, so I would request him at least to say something as far as the concluding remarks are concerned.
Yes, thank you so much. Please, next question, if anybody has.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a relationship over decades and reminded me of a fantastic gentleman, and the way he conducted today's talk. There's no doubt about it, very informative. And I think we need to go back to the drawing board and see for our own organization where we stand with all these arrangements. It should not be once, we are faced with a situation and then we try and salvage our people, because this is a very pertinent threat. Having said that, the times that Karan sir is trying to highlight, those were the times when the terrorism was at its peak. TTP and its splinter group were starved of the finances. So that was, on the rise because they needed money. Then it went down because perhaps they were not in need of that. Now it is on the increase because, and the other, the factor that contributed was that their sleeper cells and others were, taken out. Because taking hostage from Loralai, then taking it all the way to D Khan and all that area, it is an operation in itself. Secondly, the last thing is that time is of essence, I would again, because it moves from one place to another and then from one organization to the bigger organization. So the demand rises with every passing time. And in all this, the role of law enforcement agencies and the intelligence agencies is of prime importance. So once again, thank you so much. And this was our, I think after a long time, I think after COVID, one of the, interaction face to face here in this organization. And I must thank the organization for arranging this vital discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. We have a group photo outside this. Then we can have a refreshment over there. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you, online participants, for joining us.
In fact, thanks to you. Thank you very much for arranging a very good session.